Good evening, everyone. The time is 7:11. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Councilwoman Jones, would you mind doing the invocation, please?
Sure. All right. Our eternal God, our Father, we thank you so much for this day. We thank you so much for how you blessed us, kept us, and watched over us. We thank you because you're a great and mighty God, an awesome God, a wonderful Father, a wonderful counselor, our Prince of Peace. And we thank you, Lord. Father, as we come together tonight to do the business of the city of Glenarden, we ask you to continue to bless the citizens of this great city. Bless the leadership, Father. Have them move, Father, in your spirit, oh God. Let things be done in decency and order. We give you all the praise, glory, and honor that's due your name, for you're a wonderful Father who watches over us. Thank you, Father, for all of the staff that helps to propel the city of Glenarden into greatness. We thank you, Father. We bless your name and we honor you. It is in Jesus' name that I pray and say amen.
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 All right, I will be the clerk as well. Roll call. All right, roll call. Councilmember Herring. Can I see your pen?
Here.
Councilwoman Jones.
Here.
Councilman Hairston.
Here.
Councilwoman Guillaume. Councilwoman Fareed. Vice President Ferguson.
Here.
And President Curtis is here. We have a quorum. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second? I will second it. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. President.
Councilman Herring?
On this agenda, it has the constant yield tax rate, the treasurer, Dean Stewart. Actually, his name is actually spelled wrong. I think it ends with a T, right? Okay. So that needs to be corrected for the record. But there's nothing on here that allows the mayor to give a presentation of the budget. The mayor, we having this budget hearing because the mayor submitted the budget and required by charter to have this public hearing on the budget. I feel that for 80 years, the mayors have come and presented to the citizens their budget, their outline and their guide for the ensuing year, which is required by the charter. Also, in section 404 B of the charter, it says that the mayor shall report, each year shall report to the council the conditions of municipal affairs and make such recommendations as he or she deems proper for the public good and the welfare of the city. And that, combined with the budget hearing, allows the mayor, because that's exactly what she's doing in this situation with her budget, is allowing the citizens to know how she wants to move for the budget and for the city when it comes down to their tax dollars. I think that she should be allowed to present. Because again, no one else can answer for her budget but her. And I don't think the city manager or the treasurer should have to be in the condition to answer any questions in regards to her budget when she's sitting right here, and she can give a broad overview of her budget, which may answer questions that citizens may have out there in the audience.
Thank you, Councilman Herring. I agree with you in some aspects. I disagree in others. The mayor is here. She can answer any question that citizens have. There's no place in the charter where it says she's required to give a presentation. In fact, the mayor's budget letter is a presentation. The budget is a presentation itself, and members have time to, citizens had time to go through the budget, go through her letter, and then can ask her questions, and she can answer them right here. I think that it's not a good use of time to just read what we have in front of us. But I would certainly yield to the council if council wants to sit here and have a presentation of what we already have, that's fine. But I disagree. There's no shade to the mayor. It's just, in my opinion, a better use of time of having citizens being able to use the time to ask questions of what they already reviewed. She's written her letter. Don't find it necessary for her to read the letter that she wrote that we've already read. But that's just me trying to be mindful of time. But certainly if 4 members want to add that to the agenda of a presentation, I don't even know if the mayor has a presentation. Mayor, do you have a presentation?
Of course, Council President. We all have a presentation, but I will say.
No, Mayor Cross, it's fine. I just, so, like I said, I disagree. The mayor will be here to answer any questions anybody has of her. So with that being said, is there any other discussion?
Oh, yes, Mr. President.
Oh, yeah.
Can we add that we'll be going into closed session after this meeting?
That is fine. Okay. So I'll do the roll call to accept the agenda. If members of council can say accept with the amendment or accept without the amendment, that way I'll know which way we're going to go. Whether
Well, to avoid confusion, I'll just make a motion to add the budget presentation to the agenda.
Okay. Is there a second?
Hey, Council President, I didn't hear what the mayor said. I was gonna say I didn't hear what you said.
So I asked her if she had a presentation to give to the citizens. She said yes. So not here in a second. We'll move forward with the original agenda. Councilman Beharing?
Abstain. Oh, sorry. No.
It's fine. I don't even know. Council member.
Council President Curtis.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. So we didn't. So she's not going over her budget. She's not presenting her budget. Is what we're saying.
So.
Oh, so people you just going off of the packet. People just reading the packet and then they just going off of what they read in the packet. She's not going to tell people exactly what she has in the packet. I'm trying to figure out how we doing it.
Yeah. So. Two differences of opinion. So my rationale is that this budget was advertised in the newspaper. It was presented to, it was given to the citizens so citizens can look over it. This public hearing, like all other public hearings, is for an opportunity for citizens to come and ask questions of the legislation on hand, in this case, the budget. And so, yes, you are correct. The assumption is that, as with any other public hearing, giving citizens time to ask the mayor questions, and she can answer questions. It's just, I don't think it's a good use of our time to read what we've already sent out and wrote. So.
Point of order, Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
The budget message was not sent out. The budget message was set upstairs on a desk and sat down here on a table. So citizens, or it was online, and a lot of our seniors do not have internet access, and they don't get online to read it. So it isn't fair to say citizens got it when we know they didn't. And I can guarantee you a majority of them probably doesn't even know this meeting is happening in the newspaper that we put it in. It may be a newspaper of general circulation, but I guarantee you probably can't find 10 people in the city that gets it. So okay. It isn't like it was not widely advertised, and I just think that the citizens are due to know exactly what the mayor's proposing with their tax dollars. I mean, that's why we have it on cable. You know, if we weren't going to do it on cable, we could have just moved forward. But some people don't know, and I think they should have the honor, the privilege of being able to they should be afforded the opportunity to know what her idea is, and she should be able to answer for the numbers that she put in this paper.
She can answer, but like I said, it's just I think a minor disagreement, and like I said, I will yield to the will of the council if they want to hear the presentation. If not, we'll move forward. There was a motion, there was not a second. So here
No, I second on it. I second on it. I personally don't mind her going over it, but
okay,
but she
all right,
did it.
and that's quite fine. So there's a second. I don't think we have to do any further discussion. So we'll first take up the amended agenda. So we'll start over. Councilmember Herring.
Yes.
Councilmember Jones.
No.
Councilmember Hairston.
This is for to what present
To accept the amended agenda, which includes a presentation by the mayor.
Oh yeah, I'm cool with it. It's cool. Yeah.
All right. Yes. Vice President Ferguson.
Abstain.
Abstain. Do we have any? Okay. And I am a no. It fails. So now we're going to adopt the irregular agenda, again, which still includes the mayor being able to answer for her budget. So I don't want to make it seem like the mayor will not be able to speak or answer questions. She will have that right to answer questions of anyone who asks her anything. So with that being said, there was a second, then there was a motion in the middle of the motion, and now we're voting for the regular agenda. Councilmember Herring.
No.
Councilwoman Jones.
Yes.
Councilman Hairston.
This is for the normal agenda, you said,
Correct.
without the presentation.
Correct.
Abstain.
Vice President Ferguson.
I have a question. What happened to the closed session?
I'm sorry?
What happened to the closed session? You're saying the regular agenda, but there was a request to add closed session also.
Correct. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, the closed session is still included. I think the only contention was the presentation of the mayor.
So you're saying the closed session is included with what we're voting on now?
Well, actually, you guys can correct if I'm wrong. I don't have anybody here. If the agenda fails, the meeting's over, correct?
Unless somebody changed their vote.
Okay.
Were we advised that there were going to be a closed session?
The council has a right to go
Well,
in closed.
I know, but I mean, I'm just saying, it wasn't full mention that, you know. Okay.
All right, so my apologies. For clarity, this is to adopt, because I did say the regular agenda, I take it back. This is to adopt the amended agenda with only the closed session being added. Actually, we don't need it, but we'll add it. So this is the regular agenda with the explanation of the constant yield and citizens' comments to the mayor in response to the budget and going into closed session.
A point of order. Let me-
Yes.
I think with any
Oh.
closed session, that's another meeting, so it should already have its own agenda and its own,
So in a meeting, it could arise an issue that we would have to discuss in closed session. So it's not always the point that we will have to have an agenda, an approved agenda for the closed session. So Councilman Herring raised the issue that cannot be discussed in public session. And so he asked if we can close the end of the of this meeting to go into closed session to discuss a private matter. Correct, Mr. Herring?
Right.
Councilman Herring, sorry.
okay, just go ahead.
And just full disclosure, I did speak with Councilman Herring earlier. He did alert me ahead of time, and I agree that it should be discussed in closed session. So I'm in full agreement with that piece. All right. So we will, I guess, take it from the top of adopting the amended agenda with the closed session included in the agenda. Councilmember Herring.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and vote yes on this because we have to go in a closed session. Yeah.
Okay. Councilwoman Jones.
Yes, just because we have to go into closed session. Supposedly.
Councilman Hairston.
Abstain.
Abstain. Vice President Ferguson.
Yes.
And I am a yes. The amended agenda to include the closed session passes. All right. First up is the constant yield by Treasurer Stewart.
Thank you, Council President Curtis, Mayor, Council members, citizens. The constant yield rate is a rate sent by the Department.
Is the speaker on?
Cannot hear you. Is your mic on?
Yeah. Okay, so let me start over. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to explain the constant yield rate the quickest way that I can. The constant yield rate is a tax rate that is set by the Maryland State Assessment and Taxation Department. It is a rate that is used to determine how much revenues we will collect for this year, and in most cases it should be constant to what we received the year before. This year, the city wanted to adopt the 2025 constant yield rate. That rate would have increased the amount of taxes that our citizens pay to stay constant with revenue. Now, given that it was an increase over the previous year in rate, this city should have done an advertisement for a public hearing to discuss the constant yield rate and the fact that it's going to be an increased rate from the year before. Given that that was not done, the city has to resort back to the rate of last year. So there will be no tax increases on the citizens for 2025. Yes, and that's it.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Next is citizens' comments on the budget. Citizens, you are allotted 5 minutes to ask your questions. Yes. If you're in the room, please raise your hand and I will call on you. I see a hand. I will get to you in a second. If you're online, please raise your hand and I will call on you. Mr. Gray, just FYI, the screen, the TV screen in the council chambers, I can't see who's online. I can see on the computer, but I can't see on the screen. So it would be helpful if it was on the TV screen. Thank you. So with that being said, I've already saw 3 hands, and I will go with the first one I've raised. When you come to the podium, please state your name and where you're from, and then you can ask your questions. Ms. Smallwood. Is it on? There we go. Thank you. It's on. You just have to speak into it.
Good evening. My first question is for the treasurer. On the consignor rate, we have a signature on here. Is this your signature? Whose signature is it?
This is the director at the Department of Taxation.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt. If you could speak into the mic, please, when you respond to her. Thank you.
Sorry. Okay, sorry about that, but this is a signature that is given or that is sent by the Department of Assessment and Taxation.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, my question is for the mayor. And mayor, I don't want a long explanation. My questions are yes and no, okay? My first question to you, is this your budget?
This budget has been modified, so no.
Okay, thank you. Then my second question to you, did anybody work with you on the budget? Did any council member work with you on the budget? Yes or no?
Only the previous city manager and treasurer.
No. That's not my question. My question was, did any council member work with you on the budget? Yes or no?
There are emails from Councilman Herring to the treasurer, as well as I understand Councilman Curtis may have worked with the treasurer.
So no council member worked with you per se. Okay, the next question, okay. As I was looking through this budget, I found that this budget is very stacked with high salaries and other activities. Some of the departments that I have questioned with regarding the police department, the public works department, and human resources. I had problems with those departments. Y'all need to go back and at least look at some of the figures in there, and especially the salaries. Okay. Also, while I was going over this budget, I looked at the American Rescue Fund. Mayor, in your budget, you have a figure of $690,821 that has not been used. And when I did the calculation, I came up with $608,881 that have not been used. But you can answer my question after I finish. My next thing is to you, is Mayor. Can you please go through this budget and answer the question of how you derived at these figures? So I need you to explain to me how do you came to these figures and on page 1 through, I guess 1 through 23, because I have no idea how you got these figures. So as a citizen, I would like to know how you came up with these figures.
Thank you, Ms. Smallwood, for your questions. First off, in accordance to the charter of the City of Glenarden, powers and duties of the treasurer under the supervision of the city manager, the treasurer shall have the authority and shall be required to assist the city manager in the preparation of the annual budget. That should answer your questions on pages 1 through, 6? Or 1 through 7. So the previous city manager, Beverly Habita, and the treasurer, Mr. Dean Stewart, worked really closely and exclusively on the preparation of this budget in accordance to the charter. Now, when Mr. Charles came on board, I did ensure that there was a meeting held between the city manager and acting Mr. Charles, as well as the treasurer, so that he is familiar with what he has inherited due to the untimely departure of Beverly Habita. That was held on the 20th of June, which was the earliest that the treasurer could make available with the city manager and I. Now, one thing I will answer to you on this American Rescue Plan money, due to charter amendment which cut the mayor out of the budgetary process, there's been much American Rescue Plan money that has been dispersed throughout the city of Glenarden, which is not at the preview of the mayor, considering that only 2 council members have signed all checks on these, as well as the treasurer. So unfortunately, I would have to defer to the treasurer, who is to assist in the preparation of this budget, as to any differences that you see in the American Rescue Plan monies. One of the things we did talk about is the element objectives. We still do not have, which is what I requested, the rightful element naming convention associated with each one of these details. So I will tell you that that was discussed on the 20th of June, and I believe the city manager will attest to this, that we had that discussion about the proper formatting of this piece of the budget. I will tell you that apparently there is a difference in the expenditures line, which was changed after the mayor's budget letter was submitted. It was decreased, so that is a good thing. Our expenditures do not outweigh our revenue, which would have been a charter violation. But it was decreased because there was an assistant city manager position that was apparently wanting to be crafted by the previous city manager, Beverly, as well as a project manager grade 8, which was wanting to be added to the budget, which was put in after April the 15th. Now that has been taken out. So what you see here is a difference from what I submitted for the expenditures, which was $6,449,143. So absent of the project manager and the assistant city manager, which is not a charter, particularly a personnel position that we have currently. So taking that out and modifying the benefits of the legislative body for the retirement, we did save in this expenditures $59,871. So the number that you have in the mayor's letter, the general fund revenues is the same, but you'll see the general fund expenditures has a decrease to $6,384,272. Now, Mr. Stewart may want to answer your question on the American Rescue Plan money. Thank you.
Ms. Smallwood, were all your questions answered?
No, but Mr. Stewart, whatever question you have about the American Rescue money, I would like to hear.
Okay, so you're saying that there is a difference in the amount that is applied to the 2025, you're saying?
Yes, I have, with the figures that was given to me that was on her report, I added all of those figures up, and I came up with $608,821. Her figures came up to $690,821. I have almost a $81,000 difference.
Okay.
So in the essence of time, do you mind if he looks into it and then we can readdress it once he figures out the difference? Do you have her number down, Mr. Stewart? She said
$608,821.
$821.
Point of order, Mr. President. Could she refer, what page is she referring to?
I think that's her calculations, if I'm
What page are you referring
I
to?
am referring to page 3 on the mayor's report under the American Rescue Plan funds. Where she listed what was applied and what has been used and what's left over. starting from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The first 5 paragraphs. This is where she lists the items where the rescue money was going to be used for and what money has been left over.
So, yeah. So,
I'll have to get back to her.
Yeah, that's what I said. So if you can look into it.
I'll look into it.
I'm gonna get my answer before the meeting is over with. Will I get my answer before the meeting is over with tonight?
I think I may have to get back to you on it tomorrow.
I don't think that's.
But you want, okay, so I'll look to see what I could find.
Okay.
To see what's causing that difference.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. All right, thank you. Just a point of clarity. I know that the mayor mentioned that Mr. Herring was involved in the budget and that I was involved with the budget, but I was only presented with the mayor's budget when she submitted the budget, which she has said that she did. And as she just mentioned, the only difference in what she submitted back in, I think, April the 15th, was what the difference of, I don't know what they did. They took the project manager out and the assistant city manager out. But it was the mayor's budget that was presented to us. I didn't have any input on it.
That's not the only position they took out. They took out the deputy clerk to the council's out of the budget.
That was in the original budget, out of the original budget as well.
So they took that out as well.
Yeah. So just for clarity, I don't think the council had.
Yeah, let me clarify that because again, we got the budget and it wasn't in the format as described by the charter, which was basically having an additional line to show the actual 2024 budget and a variance line that showed what the difference was between 2024 and 2025. So the original budget numbers were not changed. It was a cosmetic change that gave people more clarity on where we were going from 2024 to 2025 and the difference in each budget line. So no, Councilman Herring did not work on anybody's budget. Councilman Herring made sure it was clear to the citizens where we were going from 2024 to 2025, which was not in the original budget that the mayor submitted, which was required by the charter to have that in there. So,
okay, Councilman, Mr. Curtis, you made a statement about the budget being available for the citizen to pick up. That's not actually true because I called up here Monday to ask for a copy of the report. The receptionist secretary, she referred me to the council clerk, and it went directly to voice. And I left a message for her to call me, but then I found out that the clerk was in MML, so it was not available for us to, at least for me, to sit down and get a real detailed message of what this budget was all about.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. President, I may clarify that also. Again, I do know for a fact that the council clerk did put copies up front on the counter up front for citizens to pick up. So there were copies up there, and I know she said she communicated to the receptionist that they were going to be up there if somebody wanted to pick them up. So I don't know why Ms. Smallwood was told that the budgets weren't up there because they were put. I was here when she took them and put them up front.
Okay.
That's what she said. She put them up there. So I was here when she said she was going to put them up front. So, yeah, just want to make that clear.
Thank you, Councilman
Right.
Harris. I don't know which order, so well, you're both pointing at each other. So, Mr. Cross. You can state your name, what ward you're from, and then you have 5 minutes, sir.
Mario Cross in Ward 3. Just listening to the other citizen, Ms. Smallwood's comments, if the budget was submitted by the mayor on the 15th of April, why are we having this meetings almost over 2 months after the budget was submitted? So what took so long to be able for whatever was going on the back ends for the budget to be presented to the citizens as of today? And also, I would like to talk, ask the acting city manager and the treasurer, were you able to fully support the mayor in helping her prepare the budget to be able to be presented properly for today? And if you weren't available, if there are any reasons why you were limited in your efforts to be able to support the mayor and the budget to be presented properly, fully for today. And I'm also with Ms. Smallwood on the presenting of the budget for the citizens up top. How many copies were put up there for citizens to pull up to look at? Because the clerk might have put copies up there, but how many? We have a lot of citizens, so if she only put 1, 2, 5 copies, those could have been pulled through relatively fast. So other citizens that's coming by after that time might not have had a chance to be able to pull copies of the budget to review it. So those are my major questions, and I would like to hear from the mayor if she's able to go line by line on any information or what she had prepared already for the budget to be presented to the citizens so that we can have a fully understanding, because there was a discrepancy between what the mayor has put forward and the budget that was been put towards the citizens. So I heard a couple of conflicts on information that might be misconstrued or not being running parallel with each other. So it'd be nice to hear what the mayor has so that we can compare what she is presenting as opposed to what is actually in the documentation that we can pull from the city. That's all I have.
So thank you, sir. And so we will answer your questions as it relates to you asking if she can give a presentation. That answer will still be no, because we voted that down. But she can answer any questions that you have, but not going and giving a presentation. So if you have a specific question for her, she can answer it. As relates to the other questions that you had, it is actually the mayor's budget that she submitted. She did just explain the differences between when she originally submitted it and what it is now, but if she wants to go over it again, then she certainly can. So I will give the floor over to the questions that you have to be answered by either the mayor or if the mayor wants to defer to the treasurer or acting city manager, then she can.
All right, thank you so much for the question. And so I'll take your question directly to the mayor, and I know that you asked a question to the acting city manager, Mr. Charles Simpson, as well as to the treasurer relative to if there are any constraints in them effectively being able to properly support a budgetary review, especially with a new city manager on the dais here. The budget contents, I just want to make a point of clarification in according to Chapter C, Article 8, under Finance Budget Constraints, which is Section 805. The complete financial plan was made, city funds, activities, and ensuing fiscal year FY25, and the charter says that in such form as the mayor deems desirable. So when Councilman Herring says that there's a specific format, the format is as such form as seems desirable. The only thing we left off was the actuals of 24, which the proposed of 24, which we have been printed off, all a copy of that. So we were actually trying to capitalize on the line space, but neither here nor there. That addition wasn't the problem. It's as you stated, there were new positions added into this budget which were not discussed in the line review that we did back in April with City Manager Habita. Those showed up in the discovery that we went through with the new acting City Manager Simpson, and that's when it was discovered that, whoa, we've got 3, now I understand there was initially 4 new positions which do not have HR approved city council resolutions to support them. So they are now pulled out of the budget, which now makes the budget expenditures a different number, which is the $6,384,272, which is the difference from what I presented in my budget. So I did ask Mr. Stewart, the treasurer, to provide me with a letter summation of what happened with the April 15th presentation to present when we, myself, Mr. Simpson, and Mr. Stewart had our June 20th meeting. Now, I will acknowledge, again, the treasurer is led by the city manager in this process. So with the personnel action that the city council took to move the administration under the city manager, I can imagine there was pressure there that he could not maybe get away from, because there was no other alternative if the city manager wanted to bring any pressure to him. So I will leave that question to these two gentlemen as you've asked. Were there any pressures that prevented you from appropriately supporting so that we did not have these breaks that we see?
Mr. Stewart, were you under any pressure in creating a budget?
No, I don't know of any pressure or anything. What I could say is that we were trying to go through the budget with the mayor, and as she normally does when she's upset with you, she never tries to come to an agreement to get things done.
Point of order. Point of order.
Yeah. So in that meeting, we were not really getting anywhere, especially with regard to those differences that we identified. It took me less than 45 minutes to present those information to the mayor. And with her in the room with me, it was the hardest task to get those numbers to her. But going back to what you asked, Mr. Cross, we weren't being pressured to do anything, and a suggestion of such is ludicrous. We try to support all members of this of this municipality the best we can. For the last 3 days, I have been out because I was not well. And I came back today and was able to provide her with information needed for this meeting. So where this notion of us being pressured or being nothing of the sort, I don't think we have a municipality that we're pressured to do things. So I'll leave the question there. Mr.
Yes, I do believe the challenges with the transition into the particular position and all of the different responsibilities, I believe the timing made it difficult to be able to accommodate the time frames that the mayor has suggested. We did attempt on the 20th, and we did go through a bit of a process, and then we had the conference. Again, it was a timing and a scheduling situation. We didn't agree on a couple of items, and I think we did finally, we did our best to be able to pull some of those issues together at the time. But I would attribute them primarily to my adjustment in the last 30 days in taking on the acting city manager role, and the conflicts primarily dealt with scheduling. And then, as Mr. Stewart mentioned, he wasn't feeling that well this past week as well.
Now, you did mention the 20th. He mentioned the 20th, but what month was that? Was that the 20th of April or May?
If I'm getting the dates correct, I think it was June 20th. Was that last week? Yes, June 20th.
Okay. But we still had, that's still over 2 months in between.
And so just a point of order. So I'll let you finish it. Just to let you know, your 5 minutes is up, but I'll let you finish your last one. Just to step in for Mr. Simpson. So while Ms. Habita is on leave, Charles Simpson is acting city manager, and you've been in that position for
May 21st, I believe was the
May 21st. Yeah. So the order in which things happened, the mayor presented the budget originally back in April. In accordance with the charter, she has to submit the budget by April 15th. And so that was worked on with, I believe, and she could correct me if I'm wrong, the city manager and the treasurer. And then after Ms. Habita went out on leave, Mr. Simpson stepped in, and I believe they had a meeting on June 20th, just so they can all be on the same page for this meeting here, of the public hearing. So he hasn't been in the throes of actually preparing the budget. So just to answer that question, I know you asked a question earlier of the time frame between April 15th and now. One, it's the timing. I think this is probably the earliest we've heard it actually in the 3 years. But we have to put it in the paper, advertise it, then we have to nail down a date where everybody can come for a public hearing. So it wasn't a part of our routine monthly meetings, so we all had to come together on a date that worked best for not only citizens, but where everyone could be here to present it. So with that being said, you were finishing out a comment.
Yeah, and speaking on that, you said that the city manager is out on leave. When does she do back off of leave? Because you said she's out on leave for, I guess, a period of time.
That is actually a personnel matter, and we cannot discuss that with you.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Cross.
Thank
you. So, 1 second. Mr. Gray, the internet went down. So everyone who's online is no longer online. Can you hear me, Mr. Gray? Mr. Green, could you go check on Mr. Graves, inform him that the went down. So I'm going to motion that we take a quick recess until we can get things back up, if that's okay with the council. It's only three of us. Yeah, so we'll just take a small break so we can get things back up. And then we'll go to you, Mr. Powell. All right, everyone. We are coming back in session. Again, my apologies. Our system crashed, and so the citizens that we had online were not able to participate. And so we went into brief recess until we could get our system back up again. Now we're up and running. And next up is, you state your name, what ward you're from.
Yes.
Ask your question.
My name is Anthony Powell. I live in Ward 1, and I had 3 questions for the mayor. Madam Mayor, is there any money in the budget for recreation programs for kids ages 12 to 17? That's question number 1. Question number 2, is there any money in the budget for Office for Economic Development? And question number 3, why is it that we don't have an assistant city manager's position in the budget?
Mayor Cross?
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Powell. So I'm going to start with your question number 3.
Okay.
We don't have an assistant city manager in the budget because we don't have a position for that. Before things hit the budget in this manner, we should have had a resolution put before the council to modify the personnel to ensure that the city manager acting or previously residing could actually have a position that would be managed such as the assistant city manager. It's no position.
Okay.
So you're putting budget money into something that doesn't exist.
Okay.
So now, recreational, we will have 7th Street Park, which is part of the program that the American Rescue Plan money, as well as some expenditures of our city is utilized. Over $390,000, signed a check for that. That will be put on 7th Street Park, which supports the children. Now, this city has, well, I know for the executive branch, there have been budget requested for Creative Youth Arts Summit Conference. budget requested for programs that ensure mental health and wellness and stability, back to school programs.
Point of order, Mr. President.
They were cut last year, so we'll see if
Mayor
they'll
Cross,
stay.
Mayor Cross, it was a point of order. Hold on.
Yeah, people are saying they can't hear.
Oh.
All right, 1 second. All right. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. Mr. Gray, the people saying they cannot hear online.
And we have to have them be able to hear, because Councilwoman Ferguson is online and she has to be able to participate in order for this to be a valid meeting. Her and Councilman Harrison. Without those two, we won't have a quorum.
Sorry.
She can hear us. She's working on it right now.
Vice President Ferguson, can you hear me now? Oh, 1 second. This is not on. Vice President Ferguson, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
All right, thank you. All right, I believe the 3 questions, you can restate your 3 questions and then Mayor Cross, you can go.
Okay, question number 1 for the mayor. Is there any money in the budget for recreation programs for kids ages 12 to 17? That's question number 1.
And question number 2?
Question number 2, is there any money in the budget for an office for economic development?
And question number 3?
And question number 3 is that, why is it that we don't have an assistant city manager's position in the budget?
So I answered your question number 3, and that's because you don't have a position created for an assistant city manager. So we would be putting that in the budget without something to apply it to, no budgetary code for it. And additionally, for the economic development, we do have an opportunity for volunteers, but there has not been anything in economic development relative to this FY25 budget. One of the key things that we do note is the council has taken an effort to move forward towards annexation, and that includes, we did bring forth a presentation on the data center. That area would be possibly part of the economic development, and of course the Whitmore Town Center at Glenarden, and also the MLK Business Center are parts of our economics. Relative to an actual team, paying for someone, again, there is opportunities to put that in the budget. It was not put forth by the city manager as a driver, if you will, for development. Now, relative to youth programs, I think if you would go through the proposed budget and the various budget centers, you'll see that there are youth programs put on not only by the chief of police and the public safety, but there's also programs that you'll note that the executive as well as the legislative team puts on. Now, what I perceive, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Powell, what you are asking for are deliberate, consistent based trainings, either in mental health and wellness, financial literacy, or students. What the city has particularly done in the past are programs that educate, edify, and train on those types of things. So like the Creative Youth Arts Summit and Conference that we do each year, that's to educate and train not only on financial literacy, but alternative career choices, which aligns with the governor's push towards developing youth who may have a difference in opinion whether or not they want to go to college or whether they want to go to the military, but this introduces them to alternative career choices. So those programs have been in place and have been executing over the last 2 years. So inside of this current budget, those programs under special events is listed for continuation of support. And not to mention the support that is leveraged to the Boys and Girls Club and the track team as well. So there is support in that. And then, as you know, as a retired veteran myself, supporting the American Legion and the Boys and Girls Club. So there are programs in place. Does the city own those programs? We support the local programs like Boys and Girls Club, the track team, and American Legion, if you will, Boys and Girls State.
Well, regarding economic development, we're probably the only city in the county that don't have an office for economic development. I mean, we have cities that have less people than Glenarden that have an office for economic development. C. Pleasant has one. And I think Berwyn Heights has a position for economic development. I don't understand why we don't have this kind of position in our budget. Deal with I haven't seen any plans for economic development along the MLK Highway. I mean, that's one of the purposes of having this kind of office. I don't understand why we don't have it.
And one of the key things, Mr. Powell, this city utilizes the city manager pretty much in that role, in that considerable role of economic development, making proposals to the city council, making proposals to the mayor. The city manager, particularly as a public administrator, is one that we generally have leaned on for those types of recommendations, primarily because of the meetings that they go through, as well as the connections that they have to the business world. And not only that, then we have our grants writer, which also helps. And then when we go through our legislative session with our District 24, they also help with that development piece. One of the key things about the MLK Highway, right, is that is a shared space that we need to have a partnership with. I would make a recommendation, if you will, with the county because of, you know, even the caretaking, we don't cut MLK Highway, right? Grass cutting. So there is no consideration in this budget, but that doesn't mean it's not an exceptional idea for a development in the city of Glenarden. And I take it this is tied to like our 7-Eleven that's happened down there, and you know, some of the businesses that's happened at Woodmore Commons, Woodmore Overlook. Well, I will tell you that there needs to be an evaluation of the city of Glenarden's named properties to see what we can develop. So I don't say that it's a bad idea. I just say it wasn't proposed by the city manager and the treasurer when this budget came forth.
See, if you go to the... One second, Mr. Powell. One more question? I'll let you finish your last statement. Okay. 1 second.
Your 5 minutes is up.
Okay.
But I'll let you finish your last statement as I've given others opportunity to finish your last statement.
So if you go to the website for Fairmont Heights, they got a very deliberate plan for economic development along the Bright Sea Road, Eastern Avenue section. It's right there on their website. We don't have any plans for economic development along the MLK Highway. We got like 3 stores that sell the same thing. Might have a 4th store to sell the same thing. I mean, we don't have any variety. And the number 1 store might go out of business, which is 7-Eleven. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Powell. Are there any other citizens' comments? I see a hand back there. Please come forward, state your name, state the ward you live in, and you'll have 5 minutes to ask questions about the budget.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Just speak up in the mic, please.
Can you hear me? Okay. My name is Miss Hunter. I'm in Ward 1. First, I wanted to make a comment. I was listening to the meeting on YouTube, and I hadn't planned on coming because I need to pick up my kids. However, I had to come because all of a sudden the mayor was speaking, and then all of a sudden nothing. And this went on for longer than 10 minutes. So, am I only speaking on budget? It's if you say yes, it's fine. I'm going to obey the rules. Fine.
Yes,
okay.
It's the budget hearing. And just for your edification, our system went down and we went on recess and we started back over. And it just happens when you came in, the system came back up and then we went back on. So the people online did not miss pretty much anything.
Okay, fine. So as far as with the budget, I wanted to kind of piggyback off of Mr. Powell as far as what are the plans to reincorporate recreation and youth into the budget. I had my first summer job here in the city of Glenarden, and I had it for 2 years. And I think I was 14 or 13. I think 14 with a work permit back then. I think the age has come up now. But we're really doing our youth a disservice that we do not have Glenarden geared programs for our youth. Maybe some don't know that that's what we had here at one time in Glenarden, but it pains me every time I ride on Piedmont Street and I still see the King site sitting there. I understand it's going to take time, but how much more time are we going to have to wait to get a building or something extracted there that can be for our youth? I hope we're working together to make this a priority for our youth. If you look across the wards, every ward has something, with the exception of Ward 1, for our youth. They have to cross the highway for anything. And we need to make our youth a priority and let them know that we care more about them. I know we do, but we need to show them. It would have been nice if we could have had some administrative positions here for youth, or maybe with the police or code enforcement, something. I just think we really need to do more for our youth as far as incorporating it into the budget. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hunter. Councilwoman Jones?
To answer Ms. Hunter's question, as far as the summer youth program, that is now run by the county, and then they I won't say distribute, but they send, once they vet all of the children and the parents, then they send, we tell them how many youth we need, and then they will send the amount that we need. I know, because I used to be, when I was a teenager, I worked at the city, here at City Hall too, with Mayor Cousins for 3 summers, but they don't do it like that anymore. They, the county took over the summer youth program because of so many issues with children. They wanted to make sure that the children understood what they were doing, and give them a different type of career training and those types of things, and make sure the parents are involved. And then they give send the youth out to different municipalities to work in the different municipalities now.
It's fine. Actually, you have more time left on your thing, but I think the Mayor Cross wanted to add something to that.
You want me to wait for Mayor Cross? Or you want me to ask my question? Or wait, you said Mayor Cross wanted to ask. I think it was brief.
I think she was just pointing out how many positions.
That's what I was getting ready to ask.
Thank you. Thank you, Council President. Thank you, Ms. Hunter. We do have 4 that will be working with us this summer. And as Councilwoman Jones has stated, that is something that the county runs, primarily because of its ability to, with this program, provide not only to the private sector, but also to governmental agencies, businesses as well. So this gives a bigger berth of our youth to have an opportunity to work in various different types of agencies. But for Glenarden, we will get 4 this year.
Okay, all right, that's great to know. That's good to know. Thank you. Thank you both.
Yeah. Okay, and also that program they start that program for the county in January. The kids go to the guidance counselor's office, I believe, and then in January they start vetting them and getting them ready for that program. So by the time May comes around, they already have an idea of where they're supposed to be. Thank you.
A final comment. Go ahead.
You see the police. You see the police just walked in here.
It's always one. I'm the one tonight. No, thank you both for your response. But my thing is also that not just because of my daughter, but I know other youth here that say they have tried with the county program. That's why I asked. There should have been a question, because I wasn't sure if Glenarden still ran their program separately or not. I know about the county program, but even starting early, it's like 2 years in a row. You know, you have youth that want to work, and it's we have no positions for you. You know, she's bilingual. She has a little background in law, but she, you know, wanted to work, and there's nothing available. So when you say there's 4 positions available in Glenarden, that's beautiful. And I think you were saying the county lets you know what jobs are out there, and then you tell them what you need. I think that's what you said.
Yeah, we actually have 2 Glenardeners this summer that's going to be working with us, and 2 from Lanham. So we do have Glenarden children who will be supporting. But you're right. I guess if we just exclusively wanted all Glenarden, then that's something that we could take a look at. But we do have 2 Glenardeners who will be working with the city of Glenarden.
Mr. President, let me give a little history on that, on the Glenarden program. As Ms. Hunter said, the council used to operate the summer youth program. It was in our budget, and we would bring on about 12 students from Glenarden, 12 kids from Glenarden, and give them jobs. We would put them in the various departments. For some odd reason, the county wanted to mimic what we were doing, and they actually rolled our program into theirs. I mean, the children do get paid more under the county, but their jobs are less. There's not as many jobs to give out to our citizens, and you're not guaranteed to get a job if you're in the city of Glenarden. So the council had always sponsored a summer youth program. And I think some years back, a certain council decided, no, let's move it under HR. Take it out of the council and move it under HR. And you know, there's a certain council president that did that. Because as Ms. Hunter said, we always, I didn't, hold on, first of all, I said a certain council president. I didn't say anybody in particular. I said that we always had a summer youth program, and the program was removed out of the council's, from out of the council's budget. We used to give at least 12 to 14 kids jobs here in the city. We would reach out to the library. Library usually gave us 2 positions. Rec would usually take at least 4 or 5 of our kids, and here we usually had about 7. You know, but then all of a sudden, like I say, it was taken out of our budget. It was put under HR, and it was rolled into the county. And the county now takes the job. The county places at the library. The county places at the rec. Of course, they get the first dibs on, you know, the openings. So we basically, job officers were dried up for us. All we had was what we have in this building. That's it. So I mean, so it was a good program, you know. And rolling up underneath the county, I thought it wasn't a great idea, because a lot of our kids do not get the jobs, and they're spread out through all over the place. We used to, I mean, if you can walk from across the highway or walk to the job, then it made it much easier for the kid to get here. Now, if you get placed, you may get placed in Greenbelt, you may get placed somewhere else. So, so yeah, we could look at that, but then again, what jobs are we going to be able to offer them here in the building? You know, only because again, the county jobs usually go to the county jobs program, student program. So that's the way that's what happened with that job, and I actually will pull a minute and let y'all see what's what when it comes down to it, because I know there's going to be some comment on that. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Jones. Sorry. Thank you, Councilmember Herring. Just for a point of clarity, that was done before the current members who hold a council seat now were in office. So when you said council president, I did no such thing.
No, I wasn't speaking on it. I said previous council president.
I just wanted clarity.
I clarified previous council president.
All right. So with that being said, is there anyone online that has a comment on the mayor's budget? Mr. or Miss Onos, forgive me if I did not pronounce your name correctly.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Can you hear me?
If you could speak up, that'd be great.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. My question is to the treasurer. He was talking about speaking with the mayor for 45 minutes, and the mayor is not, working with him. Can he please explain to us, the citizen of Glenarden, what were the difference between him and the mayor?
I'm sorry, we can't hear you. What was your question?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Okay, well, we can't hear Mr. Olnos.
Can you hear me?
Oh, no. Oh, but I'm still up. See? Innovative. Got the hot spot going. So we didn't lose anybody. So now I'll just have to use my screen. Hello, Mr. Olnos, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Unfortunately, our system went down, but we are still up because we're on my hotspot. So what was your question?
My question is to the treasurer. Hello?
Yeah, Mr. Olnos, go ahead with your question, please.
Okay, I'd like to ask the treasurer or the mayor, what are their difference while trying to put the budget together? That is my number one question.
What was the difficulty in trying to put the budget together?
Yes, between the mayor and the treasurer.
Well, do you have a question that relates to actual budget?
No. I was listening to the treasurer when he was making his statement concerning how difficult it is. I just want to know from both either the treasurer or the mayor to tell the citizens of Glenarden what is the interaction that they have that is difficult for both of them not to be able to work together.
Well, I appreciate that question, but that does not necessarily relate to a budget. It actually relates to a relationship that we've already talked on, which is not in the purview of why we've come together for this public hearing. Now, if you have a question about the budget, items in the budget that you have a question about or you disagree with, then we can touch on that. But disagreements between staff members and elected members, that's not the purpose of this particular meeting.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Council President. I had the treasurer saying these things on this meeting. That is why I am asking the question. Because
I understand.
I believe, so that's why I want to know more. And my second question is this. I was looking online to see some reports. Okay, let me leave my second question alone. Don't worry, next time I will ask my second question because we're not talking about report right now. We are listening to the topic about the budget. Okay, so let me just stick on that.
All right. Well, thank you, sir. Are there any other public comments as it relates to the budget? Mr. Stewart, were you able to find out the answer to Ms. Smallwood? Okay.
So that I can see what she's talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if there are no more public comments, then pursuant to the annotated code of Maryland State Government Article Section 10-508A, the council by majority vote may retire to executive or closed session at any time during the meeting. Should the council retire to executive or closed session, the chair will announce the reason and a report will be issued at a future meeting disclosing the reasons for such a closed session. Tonight's session is being closed due to a personnel issue that we would like to discuss and legal that we would like to discuss. With that being said, I motion that we go into a closed session. Is there a second? Second. Any discussion? All right, I'll do a roll call. Councilman Bahari?
Yes.
Councilwoman Jones?
Yes.
Councilman Hairston? Councilman Hairston is a yes. Vice President Ferguson?
Yes.
Vice President Ferguson, a yes, and I am a yes. With that, this session is now closed. Thank you very much.